Ah, well hello there, Pokemon Masters. I'm glad you could make it to our afternoon tea party. Glad to see you got your invitation. Tell me, how do you like your tea, with sugar or bitter? How rude of me, I haven't introduced you to our other guests. Don't stare, of course. It's awfully rude. We're throwing this whole thing for Bennett. She's been feeling a little bit sad and abandoned lately. You see, Bennett is the marionette Pokemon. A marionette is a puppet operated by strings, but in this case, I think the strings are maybe hypothetical. You see, according to Bennett's Pokédex entries, an abandoned plush doll became this Pokemon. They are said to live in garbage dumps and wander about in search of the children that threw them away. It is frightfully sad, isn't it? Though despite being the marionette Pokemon, there are no strings controlling Bennett. No. Our Bennett instead is more of a cursed energy that possesses the abandoned doll. You know, I had a theory once about Bennett and its relationship to some ghostly sightings in the hallways of the Hoenn Elite Four. These ghosts are sighted in the room of the Elite Four member Phoebe. She uses 2 Bennetts, and there appears, based on the various camera angles throughout the room, to be 2 ghost girls in the room. Look, you can see one just there. 2 Bennetts and 2 trapped souls. I'd say those young scallywags got what was coming to them. You know, I do love it when a good Pokemon theory holds up after all these years. And tell me, have you met our other guest, Mimikyu? Oh, Mimikyu didn't used to get invited to tea parties very often. She's quite jealous of Pikachu. In fact, that's why we sit them apart. So, when it comes to Mimikyu, apparently 20 years ago, Pikachu hit the big time, a massive star. This made Mimikyu envious. Apparently Pikachu got famous because that trainer from Kanto, Red, beat the Elite Four, defeated Team Rocket, all with Pikachu by his side, and that made Pikachu famous. Wait, was it Red? Or maybe it was Chase from Let's Go? Or Ash Ketchum? Oh, all of these names, I don't keep track of the drama. But anyway, what happened is Mimikyu ended up being very envious, and so it's possessed a bit of cloth to look like Pikachu in the hopes that it might be as cute. And if you still don't think the Mimikyu's adorable,
then it'll eat your soul!
Sorry. Cake? You know, there have been many theories about Mimikyu. The idea that it's a jealous Clefairy spirit that's annoyed at Pikachu for taking its spot as the mascot of the series, or the same again for Porygon for getting it kicked out of the anime. Despite the mystery, it's honestly seemed rude to ask. Tell me, have you met our next guest? No, not Stuffle. That's a Pokemon doll. Can't you tell the difference? Our next guest is one that's come from right here in the Galar region. T? Polteageist is a new Pokemon appearing in the Galar region, and it's not the Teapot that's possessed, but more so just the tea. It's infused with black tea, my favourite, and according to the Pokemon website, it makes the tea quite delicious. Possession has always been a key part of the Pokemon world. Pokemon like Rotom take control of all sorts of appliances. As we've already mentioned, there's Mimikyu and its cloth, or Bennett and the doll. And possession of objects in the real world is usually done by Poltergeists, and Poltergeists are responsible for the taking control of and levitation of objects. One such reported poltergeist was for a doll named Harold. Harold was bought in Webster, Florida for just $20 at a flea market. The buyer was warned about Harold when it was bought. Warned about how when Harold was first obtained 60 years ago, people would hear singing, crying, and laughing from Harold's room. Harold certainly seemed to have a lot to say. The original owner who bought Harold for his son tragically lost his son a few years later. He decided Harold was a bad omen and decided to try and burn the doll, but it just wouldn't seem to burn away. Now I'm sure Harold didn't mean badly. I mean, he's just one of many such dolls across the planet. Then again, maybe you don't like these horror stories. Maybe you prefer your kids' films, like Toy Story. In the Pixar film Toy Story, the toys in Andy's room come alive whenever he leaves. The idea of an object having personality is called animism. The idea that animals, plants, rocks, and even objects have a spiritual essence about them. This idea dates back to ancient religions, including Shinto, and in fact it's so prevailing in Japanese culture that it's made its way into their video games, including Pokemon. Now you might be thinking, just because it's in a few horror movies doesn't mean that my cuddly friends are really here in the room with me. But think about this, Pokemon Masters. If all Pokemon are based off of real animals and real objects, and there's enough documented cases across the world that Pokemon are based off them, then what's not to say that the plushes and toys in your room aren't watching this video with you right now? I'm afraid you'll have to leave. It's time for our afternoon nap. Sleep well, Pokemon Masters. Hello, Pokemon Masters, Berkey Patobi, back again. That was a good tea party, wasn't it? But if you'd like to learn more about the Pokemon Polteageist, I would recommend you head on over to my good friend Lockstin's channel. Yes, he's going to be doing a video all about Poltergeist over there, so head on over, won't you? It's just polite. It's the polite thing to do. Links are in the description. Please leave now, though. I have to clean up. Burnett has made a mess, so we need to go. Well, this is just awkward, isn't it? So hi.